1950s Britain, a time when corner shops ruled the streets. Step back into 1950s. Britain, a country still shaking off the shadows of war, ration books, and shortages. It was a world of cobbled streets, milk bottles on doorsteps, and the comforting hum of everyday routines. At the very center of this picture stood the corner shop. These family-run stores weren't just places to buy bread or tea, they were the lifeblood of communities, keeping families fed and friendships alive. In a decade before supermarkets took over, corner shops truly ruled the streets. Daily life? In 1950s, Britain revolved around the corner shop. For many, life in 1950s Britain meant daily trips to the local shop. Homes were smaller, kitchens basic, and fridges rare or tiny. Families couldn't stockpile food. Instead, they bought what they needed, day by day. The corner shop in 1950s, Britain offered everything from loaves, delivered fresh each morning, to tinned sardines, biscuits, and soap flakes for laundry. Goods weren't sealed in plastic or barcoded. They were measured, weighed, and wrapped by hand. Flour came in brown paper bags, butter was cut into slabs, and cheese was carved from a wheel. The process was slower than today's tap-and-go culture, but it was human, familiar, and woven into the rhythm of daily life in Britain in the 1950s. Penny sweets and the magic of childhood. If one phrase sums up nostalgic British life in the 1950s, it's penny sweets. For children, corner shops were magical treasure troves where even a halfpenny held power. Glass jars lined every shelf, filled with sherbet lemons, rhubarb, and custard sweets, cola cubes, pear drops, and aniseed balls. Flying saucers, rice paper pockets bursting with sherbet, were the ultimate prize. Licorice sticks and gobstoppers promised hours of chewing for just a coin or two. Children pressed coins into sweaty palms, agonizing over choices. Shopkeepers patiently waited as kids pointed at jars and then poured their chosen sweets into little white paper bags. These rituals weren't just about sugar. They were about independence, joy, and unforgettable childhood moments in 1950s Britain. The trust system, credit books, and community bonds. Wages were often tight in post-war Britain. Payday might not align with hunger, and that's where the trust of corner shops shone brightest. Many families relied on putting it on the slate. Shopkeepers wrote purchases into a credit book, knowing payment would come once wages arrived. This system was rooted in faith and familiarity. A shopkeeper knew the families, their children, and often their struggles. Allowing credit wasn't just good business, it was an act of solidarity. In many cases, these small acts of trust kept households afloat. It's a stark contrast with today's impersonal transactions. In 1950s Britain, commerce was built on community bonds and human relationships, not receipts and rules. A place where neighbors met and stories spread. Beyond the groceries, corner shops were gathering places. They were where life in 1950s Britain unfolded in conversations. People lingered in queues, exchanging gossip about factory strikes, football matches, or a neighbor's new baby. The shopkeeper was part newsreader, part confidant. They'd tell Mrs. Green that her order of tea had arrived, remind Mr. Clark to collect his paraffin, or pass on news about rationing finally ending for meat in 1954. In an era before televisions in every home, the corner shop acted like a village square. People didn't just shop there, they connected, supported, and strengthened their sense of belonging. Stock was seasonal, local, and fresh. Unlike today's global supermarkets, corner shops in 1950s, Britain were ruled by seasonality. Fresh fruit and vegetables came from local farms or allotments. Potatoes, carrots, and cabbages dominated winter, while summer brought strawberries, gooseberries, and beans. Bananas deserve special mention. During the Second World War, they vanished completely from British shelves, not because they were rationed, but because supply lines were cut off. By the 1950s, they had returned, yet for many families they still felt like an exotic treat, remembered vividly by children who queued excitedly to taste one for the first time. Oranges appeared mostly at Christmas, tucked into stockings alongside walnuts. Meat was purchased in small cuts, wrapped in paper, and often shared out with care. This seasonal approach gave food a rhythm. People anticipated autumn apples or spring greens, and it tied meals to the natural cycle of the year. It also reinforced the idea of community resilience. Daily life in Britain in the 1950s was built around local produce and shared resources. The shopkeeper, friend, confidant, and local hero. Behind every counter stood the shopkeeper, the unsung hero of nostalgic British life. They were up before dawn, restocking shelves, tallying ledgers, and sweeping pavements. Many lived above or behind the shop, making the business truly part of their home life. For children, they were figures of kindness, often slipping in an extra sweet. For adults, they were trusted confidants, keeping secrets, offering advice, and sometimes helping quietly with credit when times were hard. Their role was demanding but vital. They worked long hours, rarely took holidays, and relied on family members to help. Yet their dedication made them beloved figures in their communities. They weren't just merchants. They were anchors in the tapestry of life in 1950s Britain. The rise of supermarkets and the changing streets. By the late 1950s, Britain began to change. Supermarkets like Sainsbury's, Tesco, and Fine Fare opened their first self-service stores. Shoppers marveled at trolleys, pre-packed goods, and the ability to browse shelves without waiting to be served. For younger people, this felt exciting and modern, a taste of an American lifestyle. But for older generations, supermarkets lacked the warmth and familiarity of the corner shop in 1950s Britain. There was no credit book, no friendly chat, and certainly no patience for children spending 5 minutes choosing sweets. Still, during the 1950s, supermarkets remained rare and mostly urban. For most towns, villages, and working-class neighborhoods, the corner shop continued to reign supreme. The enduring legacy of corner shops. Though supermarkets grew throughout the 1960s and 70s, corner shops never fully disappeared. Many adapted, becoming convenience stores or late-night lifelines. They stocked newspapers, cigarettes, and everyday essentials when larger shops were shut. Even today, they retain something of their old magic. Independent shops, often family-run, still dot Britain's streets, offering service that supermarkets can't replicate. They remain symbols of resilience, echoing the days when corner shops in 1950s Britain shaped the nation's daily life. For those who lived through that era, the memory of walking into a shop with a coin in hand, greeted by a familiar smile, is unforgettable. It's no wonder that when people look back on life in 1950s Britain, the corner shop is one of the first images to come to mind. 1950s Britain, a time when corner shops ruled the streets, reminds us of a slower, more human way of living. These shops shaped routines, nurtured communities, and created memories that still stir nostalgia. Though times have changed, the legacy of the corner shop endures. Symbols of trust, care, and belonging in post-war Britain. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.